Hello and welcome back, Josh, Sam and anyone else who's watching, to the final episode of Pulling Up the Slask. Now, you'll already be able to tell if you know where to look on this game what's going on, but I'm about to run down the final season of me as manager of Vukaesh Slask Wrocław. You can see already I've been replaced by Zeliko Kopic, but yeah, Operovska is now a 46,000 seater stadium. But let's look at the senior squad. Let's look at the fixtures from last season. Thank you. Now then, if you'll remember the last video, we won the final of the Europa League against Real Madrid in a ridiculous finish to the season. And I stated at the time, somewhere through this run to the Europa League final, that my intention was to make the last season at Slask one, in which I was a legend at the club. Now, at the end of that game, I wasn't a legend, but by the beginning of the next season, I had been promoted to a legend status. If we look quickly, Ben Wheatland is the second biggest legend after Matthias Mancia, because obviously. Now, let's go back. So, let's go to last season, the one that I didn't show you any videos from. I'm sorry about that. Now, we won the Super Cup, beating our rivals Zhangguangbia Lubin 3-0. We then went on a bit of a tear in the Ekstraklasa. So I'll talk about the Europa League later, but we also lost the Super Cup 3-1 to Man United, disappointing. Can I just see the... No? No. Yeah, anyway, so Ekstraklasa. Let's see what happened last season. Well, we ended up winning by a long way, although it is to be noted that I believe when I left the club, because I left the club not quite at the end of the season, the new manager coming in did a poor job with those last few games. So let's look back at the fixtures. So yeah, 7-0 win, 6-0 win. These games here, you can look at the stats yourself. Mokwena getting a hat-trick. Plamen Genshev playing a big role in this season. Georgian Yuri getting a hat-trick. Centre-back getting a hat-trick. 6-0 at home against Wisła Kraków. Ridiculous result. We were then held to a 2-2 draw away at Cracovia. Fucking hell. At Cracovia, which was... I tried to play a weakened team to try and get an achievement where you win 2 games on the bounce with different starting 11s. I don't know what happened, but the game glitched out, and I got that achievement by beating Polonia Warszawa 2-0. Bafana Mokwena and Grzegorz Lewandowski scoring there to wrap that off. We didn't lose in the Ekstraklasa for a very long time. 2-0 here, 2-0, 3-0, 2-2 again against Piast, 2-1, 5-0. You know, we absolutely smashed it. We then lost to Wisła Łódź, who were second in the league, and I think possibly ended up finishing second. Oh, Christ. No, they finished third in the end. But they were the first team in the league to beat us. We then went on a characteristically sensational run. My final game in charge of Wrocław was a 3-1 win over Zhangguangbia Lubin. Before moving on to my next club, the new manager lost to Widzew, drew with Kielce, and beat Lech Poznan in his final game of the season. We, as you can see there, won the FA Cup final. We won 1-0, courtesy of, I shouldn't have pressed that, but Gareth scored an absolutely sensational goal. And then you'll have already noticed some good results in the Champions League. So our Champions League group featured AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, and Rosenborg from Norway. So we started off the group stages because, as you'll remember, that we are now qualifying automatically for Europe. We started that off with an away 5-0 loss to AC Milan, including a sending off for David Daniels. Luckily, we turned that around in our next game where we beat Atletico Madrid 2-1 at home. Tancha Kochev and Oleg Zykov scoring goals for us. We then smashed Rosenborg at home. Ganchev, Hari and Kotsev scoring. We then beat them 5-3 away in a ridiculous game. where I think we were 4-0 up or possibly 3-0 up, but anyway, ridiculous. We then beat AC Milan 3-1 at home, confirming our qualification from the group after only 4 games. We then lost 1-0 to... in fact, it was the Rosenborg result which confirmed our qualification because the other 2 teams had been dreadful. We then beat AC Milan, and then we lost our final game away at Atletico to set up the next stage of the Champions League. Let's just look at the group stages last season, please. It was Group B we were in. We finished top of the group, which is frankly ridiculous. Although that said, we did win the Europa League last season, so it's not like it's completely out of the blue. But you know, I was surprised how good we were considering we lost 5-0 to AC Milan in the first game. But the trouble was, after our group topping display, we drew Western Supermare, my old club. Now, the first game against them, we lost. It was away at the Wheatland Park. We lost 3-1. We got the away goal from David Daniels. We then welcomed them back a few days later to Oporovska, where we won 1-0. Matias Mancia scoring the only goal of the game late on, but unfortunately it meant we went out 3-2 on aggregate. So that was our last ever European run with Slask. We won the cup again. We've had a ridiculously successful little bit of time there. I think, are they starting to? No. So the stadium is a lot bigger. I don't know if you remember, but originally it was 8,000 with about 1,000 seats in it. Now we're at 46,000. That's just sensational. Let's look at the competition wins. Europa Cup winner 2036, Europa Super Cup winner 2036. Runner-up. Got a bit of a cold, apologies. The Extraclasse winner 2031, 32, 33, 35, 36, 37. So 2 hat-tricks of the Extraclasse, including 1 third place and 1 runner-up spot. We won the FA Cup in 32, 35, 36, 37, and we came second in 33. And we won the Super Cup in 32, 35, 36, and missed out on this. The Polish League Cup apparently used to be a thing, but is no longer a thing. Which is a shame because it could have got some quadruples in there, but no. And so, yeah, I am now I resigned. We won everything with me except for the Champions League, and I thought that would be just a bit too much of a step up, as was proved by our unfortunate... I mean, it's not like we were absolutely wiped out by Western, but it's enough to make me be like, I can't be bothered. Now, since I left, there's been some incredible signings not by Roswell, but by Roswell's opponents. So Roswell have signed, the new manager has signed Matteo Ballarin, a 17-year-old Belgian from Genk on a free. I guess promising. Now they have sold Stjepan Kovac, who I was grooming. If I'd stayed, he would have been the starting centre-back alongside Plamen Genchev last season. They sold him to Zenit for 3.1 million, having signed him originally for 450,000. They sold Gareth on a free. Ooh. Oh, but he won't sign for me in my new club. No. Oh, he might, actually. Yeah, lol. They got rid of Vladimir Ishmurzin. Oh, he plays for Hertha BSC. We'll come back to that later. They got rid of Tomasz Ochmansky, who was an actual Schlanskite. Not good enough for finishing, otherwise I think he might have been decent. Kenny Adita moved on to Leeds United for £5 million. Nice old profit from him, considering he played very, very well. I think they probably could have got some more money for him, but he's now playing for Leeds in the Premier League. He's not the only one, though. Zishad Luchak, who I signed for £700,000 a while ago. He didn't make very many appearances after we sort of went through our revolutionary period. He left on a free to Djurgårdens IF. Then one of my favourite players, Abubakari Ado, who has, by the way, become Ghanaian. He declared for the Ghanaian national team and now has 10 caps and 4 goals. He signed for Dynamo Kiev for £5 million, having signed for Slansk for 420. From Elfsborg about 4 years ago. He got 9 goals a season, so not bad. Although he actually got 14, 16, 17, so he got a lot of goals. and even won in this one in the Cup, in the Continental competition. So he got a lot more than his statistics there say. They're just the league appearances. Quality player, by the way. Don't know why the US didn't sign him up, because he's very good. And then the final and most shocking one was Anzize Abahi. The signing for 5k. He absolutely lit Oporovska up during his 3 seasons at the club, winning everything there was to win, including the Europa League, which is ridiculous. And then he joined Western-super-Mare, of all clubs, for £21 million. I mean, he's ridiculously good, and that he will do well there. But for 22-year-old, £21 million, Slask are sitting now on a war chest, and officially sitting on a war chest, but so far haven't actually signed anyone. So there's another player, Chuchukov, who is, his actual name is Chichikov, I think. His actual name is Chu, because that's a Y. I mean, but it would, in Ukrainian, that would be an U sound, so it would Chuchukov. So I changed it to Chuchukov because of Josh's son. Well done him. Looks like he's on his way out, even though I thought he was a decent little player. Kokot, I don't remember who he is. He might just, he's just a youth player that came through. They're going to get rid of Prosek, who I like. I don't know why they're getting rid of him. He's in the reserves now. Let's see if we can get a scouting report off him. For my mystery club, Marek Rambus, 18-year-old centre, right back. Surprised they're going to get rid of him as well. Weird. And Peter Simonka must be another one of those Polish. Oh no, he's Slovenian. And I signed him for £70,000. So, yeah, fine. Anyway, I was tempted by 2nd Division Hertha BSC. They were last season, if you look, relegated on the last day of the season on goal difference from the German top division. I had actually been hoping to sign for Union Berlin, because that's the team that I like more. I used to live in Berlin, so there you go. But they missed out on promotion, but didn't sack their coach. Hertha did. I spent a lot of time trying to unsettle both their coach and Union's coach, saying in the press that I thought they were both a load of rubbish. Hertha sacked their coach, and I applied and got given the job. Now, I've been told I have to take the club up. So pressure is high, which is not something that's been the case for Slask in the recent, in any period of the club's history. Like they expect us to win the league by the point at which it was a formality that we would win the league. So this offers itself a different type of challenge. Also, Hertha, ridiculously, seemed to be pretty much broke. I got given £2.3 million and not a very big wage budget, and we were already over that wage budget. So I put all of the money into wages and have gone on for some free signings and some little wheelie dealings, so small money transfers. I think the most I've spent so far is about £130,000 to bring the Hertha squad into line with what I think can happen in the future to take us up. Now, let's have a look. So, let's look at the tactics. Whoa, we're playing 4-4-2. No way. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Our goalkeepers, we have Kaloyan Boyanov. He is a signing of mine for £50,000 off Chernomorets Burgas from Bulgaria. He's a decent little player. He's second to the main goalkeeper in terms of the way the coaches see him. But the Robert Vicker, who was here before, he is Polish, but he's very eccentric, and I don't like that. So he's quicker than the other guy, but he's far more eccentric, and I'm not a massive fan of that. So I feel like Boyanov will start. Now, up front, we have former Western-super-Mare prospect Fatih Demir, who I signed for Western back in the day off of Leverkusen for £50,000. Hertha last season signed him for £2.1 million, and he bombed in the top division. He was terrible. My hope is, from pre-season, he looks like he's a decent prospect, at least at this level. So I'm hoping that we can get him to help us fire us to the top division, and then maybe get rid of him. That said, I mean, he looks like he's probably got the attributes to be, if he was played properly, to knock a few in the top division. So we'll probably keep hold of him. We've also got up front Steffen Havik, the Norwegian, 31 years of age. He was already at the club. I think he's decent. He's very similar to Demir. Sorry, so he'll probably be staying. This guy is a right midfielder, in my opinion. Let's have a look at him. I mean, he's fucking got nothing, really. Like, he's very weirdly sort of set up. I signed him on a free. I want to make him a winger. He could also be a striker. He's kind of sort of sitting amongst things. Stevo College. Another very similar strikers. He's not as good mentally or aerially as the other two. But he's done very well in pre-season so far. He was already here. I wouldn't have signed him if I had the choice. But as we can see, he did well in the second division last time we were in the division. So I'm hoping that he will continue to do that and then we can get rid of him. I then signed Sidik Ujturk, who I signed him on a free off Bursaspor. He's quick as anything and he's fine at finishing. I'm sure he's improving. He's only 19. Signed him on a free. If nothing else, we'll make some money on him next season. But I think he'll probably be a decent little backup. And then I signed Canadian striker Kevin McLean, who is slightly disappointingly going downhill a little bit, but is a decent little prospect, quick, physical, decent in the air, and can attack and finish not badly at all. So I think he'll be fine. Defence, our best right back is injured, Eric Burkert. Defence, and when I say best right back, I mean technically, defending wise, he's very good. He was already here. He's actually a Hertha homegrown player, but he's going to have to come out of the side, so I will do that now. In replacement, being replaced by a Ben Wheatland signing, Daniel Tabane. Everyone always needs a South African in the team, and this is mine. He's quick. His aerial ability is very good. He can fight players. He's not so great at defending, so I'm going to put him now right this second. His training needs to be on, I believe, his positioning isn't great. His marking is very poor, so let's try and get him on marking. But yeah, so he's going to be at the moment he's going to be my first choice right back, but probably the second choice once Eric Burchett comes through. Sorry, got a cold. At left back, we have Adeon Ekunde from the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's not great, but he's better than anything we've got, and he wants to leave. So he's on a lot of money for someone who's worth very little as well. I would like to get rid of him if I could and get someone better in. Nobody really seems to want him, mainly because his wages are ridiculous. We then have in the centre Felix Gutler, who's very good. He came through at Hertha. Hopefully we can keep hold of him for a little bit longer before inevitably he will be sold, I expect. Bernard Bush, he's 30. He's also he's 30 but came through only 5 years ago. So he came through at the age of 25. Not even that, 24, 26. Well, anyway, he's decent, so he's playing centre-back as well. Then we've got a bunch of other little players. I believe I signed him. No, he was here as well. Simon Dedic, the Slovenian player. Lots of players on a lot of money in this league. Holger Wolter is a Berlin. Yeah, he's a Berliner. I'm hoping that he might develop a little bit more. He's got the potential to be better than Felix Gutler. So we'll see. Try and play him as much as possible. We've also got Oscar Hoimo. He's a defensive midfielder by trade, but it can also play in defence. He was here before as well. He actually was one of the few players who did okay in the First Division for Hertha last season. And then we got this guy, I signed him, Kyohei Nakamura. Signed him on a free off Kyoto Mantis. He's 19 as well, so he'll be decent. He'll play. And then finally, the midfield. These first videos with new clubs is always a long one. So we've got on the right the Egyptian Ayman Abdel Latif, who is not currently a right midfielder, but he will be. He's definitely much more of a right midfielder than he is anything else. He's quick, he can cross. Yeah, he's working on his crossing, I believe. Yes, he is. And on becoming a right midfielder, he'll do fine. In the midfield, we have Didimo Zapata. 19, I signed him for free off of are they Mexican? No, Colombian. I'm not sure he's ready to start exactly yet, but he's certainly a decent little player. Then, look who it is, Vladimir Schmozin. I signed him on a free from, look who it was, sounds right. And I'm hoping that this time he can play a bit more of a role than he did in the last club. He's definitely the best defensive midfielder defensive-minded midfielder that we've got, so he'll be playing there. We've also got this guy, Daniel Tunissen. The reason he's not in the first team is because he wants to leave. He's also a bit short and not great in the air, whereas Ishmurzin is. But yeah, he wants out. He's not been very good for the club anyway, so I wouldn't be averse to that. He's on quite a lot of money. We've also got Oscar Homo, who we've looked at before. We've also got Karim Kapatinde, who's a Cameroonian midfielder who I signed for £20,000 from from ZTE in the Hungarian second division. I'm hoping that he can play a bit part role in the team. Then we have Jurika Gudeli, who, did I sign him? I hope I didn't. I did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe he was coming anyway. But he from North Zealand. He's a decent little midfielder. He possibly could also... No, he couldn't. He'd be fine. He'll do all right. We've got Karel Klimek, who was here already as a right midfielder. He'll probably be the starting right midfielder. He actually has played very well previously. So just to remind myself, because I'm not going to play a game in this episode, I'm going to just... Where'd he go? Is that what I meant to do? No, it was that, wasn't it? Yeah, so Klimek will probably start. Then we've got Renato Di Somma, who I believe is also a Hertha youth prospect. He's not very good at the moment, but he's supposed to be ending up pretty good. So we'll try and keep him and progress him, and if not, we can sell him. He's got quite a high value, so we'll probably get some of that money. Then we have the guy who wants to leave, Wannes Havermans. He would be my starting midfielder, and I'm hoping just to not let him leave, and therefore he will become my starting midfielder in place of Zapata. We then have Václav Procházka, who is also a former regime player. And we have Sidik Öztürk, who I think I already spoke about. Yes, the quick striker who I signed. Right, so that's the squad. I have gone through the backroom staff and revolutionised it. We had originally one coach, one physio, and about 4 scouts, but I've managed to raise that up. We now have a proper set of coaches. We also have a first team coach and a fitness coach, which is exciting. I've gone back to my wicked ways as previously by asking the board to increase the size of the youth facilities. This club is different to most clubs in that the stadium they own, or the stadium they play in, is not owned by them, and is also unlikely ever to be owned by them, because it is the German national stadium, the Olympiastadion. So I asked them to try and buy it, remembering how that worked for Slask, and unfortunately they said they couldn't afford to yet. Hopefully by the time we get into the top division again, because I'm pretty confident we will get there, by the time we get there and have developed the squad a little bit more, I think we might be able to go for trying to build a new stadium. Although that said, the stadium is already a capacity of 74,000 fans, so I mean, how many... I don't know if it's reasonable to expect to actually get that any bigger. So we'll see. Now the last thing I'll show you is the fixtures from so far. We played Hajduk, beat them 5-1. Klimek, Havik, Gutler and Procházka scoring. We beat Slavia Sofia 3-1. You'll recognise most of these teams because we played them quite a lot as a Slask manager. Nakamura, McLean and Procházka scored. North Zealand, Havik, Demir scored a hat-trick. Bila Kapic and an own goal. And then we beat Berliner Fußball Club Dinamo 6-0, 6 different scorers: Havik, Demir, Bila Kapic, Aripov, Kolic and Isoma. So there we go. Now we have a long old season to play in. I'm probably going to go down quite a few games. I think we'll probably play the Union Berlin derby and either the Frankfurt game or the Oberhausen game, depending on which ones are the most interesting to watch, because obviously Berlin is the derby. And I'll see you then. But next time you will not be hearing about pulling up the Schlonsk. You will be hearing about something else that I haven't decided to name yet. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye!